formally call the meeting to order. I request everyone to switch off their mobile phones or keep them on silent. Another request is when the speaker is there and there are some interaction, please do not go on and off the screen. It can be disturbing. Please do not write too many comments on the open chat box. If you think you want to write, and before we start, please mute all your respective mics so that we do not get disturbance from the back. Now, before we begin, I would like to share the mission of the club. We provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Over to you, Kusuma.
Thank you. Thank you, Gaurang, for starting the meeting and stating the mission of Toastmasters Club. Welcome and hello to this special education session on Masterclass on Humor by Toastmaster Ushy. I declare Toastmaster Ushy's video open. And please, Dr. Ushy, we all are waiting eagerly. Wow.
Okay, guys, do you want me to start straight away?
No.
I
would like to introduce you first.
Sure.
So friends, we all have experienced that the laugh, giggles, smiles have reduced when we are growing old. As we advance in our career or personal life, professional life, we saw that we are becoming more and more serious. But do you know, there are still some people who manage to create that humor in the life of others as well as in their own, which while handling the various responsibilities. Our today's speaker belongs to this segment. Now, when I talked to her, you know what happened? The very first meeting, I was very much like had some fear that I am talking to some VVIP and how I should approach and how I should care. And when I talked to her, it was a feeling of deja vu. I felt I was knowing her for so many years, and believe me, in the first meeting itself, we were talking for more than 15 minutes. Really, that was fabulous and fantastic. I was waiting for this day restlessly like a child, and today is that day. The speaker today is communication scientist, a national award-winning crusader against the corruption in medical education. She is a national level debater, stand-up comedian, and whatnot. Friends, today you are going to meet a Toastmaster who is just like you and me, but one special feather in her cap is she is running a professional bakery, Ushy Bakes. I would really love to taste it with Dr. Ushy. And let's witness the combination of intelligence and integrity, passion with perseverance, and emotion and empathy. When I heard her TED Talk, her sessions, I had so many things to tell you about it, and really I was eager. Thank you for accepting our request and clearing my bucket list 1 point. Let's put our hands together to welcome Dr. Ushy. Over to you, Dr. Ushy. The welcome set is yours.
Thank you, Pratibha. Thank you so much for having me over. It's been almost a month since you've been speaking to me. Thank you, Brilliant, for also suggesting, I think, my name and, for having kind of, told me that maybe a club here requires me to share some information. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters and guests, as you keep going older, they say you lose 3 things. The first is your memory and the other 2 I can't remember. So you must look at me now, and I've left this gray hair so that I look wise, so that whatever I say, you guys will buy. I have a tendency to be naughty and crack a lot of jokes. Whether you're recording it or not recording it doesn't matter, because that's what I feel. And at the end of the day, I'm very much with Brilliant when he says that you must bring out the child in you. And at my age, when you say that I have a child in me, I mean, it can sound very dangerous. But at the end of the day, you know, ladies my age will understand that men are always aging and women are always 18 plus 40 years of experience. So we stop at 18 and everyone else keeps aging. Now, it's good to see some of you smiling. It's good to see the others haven't switched on their cameras because you still don't have the guts to do it. Now, at the end of the day, when we're in an online session, it's lovely to meet and speak to people. It's also really nice to share your experiences with people. And today what I'm sharing is just a few things. I don't know how much time are you giving me, Pratibha? How much time do you have for me?
We have 1 hour.
Okay, so I'll make it just about half an hour, 40 minutes. And I think I would rather just make it a lot more interactive, because in the online world, I'm purposely not using a PPT today. If you want a PPT, you can always ask me, but otherwise today I'm going to spare you the latest phenomenon in speaking called death by PowerPoint. So I think you'll be away from this PowerPoint misery. You'll also be away from something called speaker recovery syndrome. When somebody comes and bores you to death for 1 hour, you wish I was dead. And I don't want that to happen. Or you will wish.
Believe me, I'm wishing that right now.
Who's wishing that? Ria?
I'm Nikhil, Ria's dad.
Yeah, so Ria, you want to die already? Listening to me?
No, it was me, not Ria.
Okay, so your name suggests Ria. If you want to die, you're welcome. I can suggest some methods, being a doctor. So, you know, it's legal also. I can sign your certificate. So there's nothing to worry at all. Okay, so that's on a lighter note. So guys, don't speak in between, okay? It's a small request. The train of thought gets completely distracted. Just allow me 30 minutes wherein I might ask questions, but I'd rather have you type it in the chat box. And that's why I requested for the chat box to be enabled. Somebody can, you know, just look at the chat and then we can take it from then on. So I hope to share some of what I do, some of what I do for a living, some of what I do for my patients, some of what I do during COVID times, some of what I do internationally so that people are light, people are feeling less burdened, and people are in a relaxed frame of mind. And as good speakers and as Toastmasters, I think our job is not just to follow a manual. It's not just to come in here and follow the guidelines or a pathway or maybe a project or maybe get a particular title. I think there is also a certain amount of responsibility to make a person who's listening to you go back with one, a message, and two, some amount of clarity, but third and most important, feel a little better as they get out of a meeting. And I think this is what many people forget. They would go so strictly by the rules. It's like me coming and telling you operation successful, patient is dead. So what happens is you've got a bunch of people who are bored to death. And then you have yourself who's very happy because all the, you know, the boxes are being ticked and you passed your pathway. Now that is not great speaking. Great speaking is about narratives which people can remember. When I was going on a flight the other day, there was a young man who was going on staring at me. I was like very happy. I thought like maybe I'm looking good and that's why he's staring at me. But I saw him looking at his phone and then looking at me, looking at his phone and looking at me. And then I realized that at some point he was just, you know, staring too hard. So I asked him, is there a problem? And he said, is this Dr. Ushy? I said, yes. He said, ma'am, I'm a Toastmaster. And 1 year ago, I heard you in a club. And I said, really? And he said, is it okay if I take a selfie with you? I said, I'm okay, no problem. So he took a selfie with me. Guess what? The chap sitting next to me on the aircraft turns around and asks me, are you some kind of a celebrity? In which case, even I want a selfie with you. Now, this is what people are all about. They don't know me. They don't know your name. They don't know why the selfie was taken, but they're so quick to connect. And I think as people, we must make every possible attempt as a speaker to connect. Now, humor is a fabulous connect. And when I asked that boy, I didn't remember his name. I asked him, what is it that you remember from my session? He said, when you came 1 year ago to Qualcomm, you said there are 3 levels of arrogance. And I said, I believe that those three levels were I, Iyer, and Iyengar. I've forgotten that I said it. But he says, I'm an Iyengar, and I was very proud that I'm in the topmost level of arrogance. Now, that was something which came to my mind then. But honestly, I cannot remember that he remembers, even after a year, what I said to him. Now, you can win an enemy or a friend in good speaking. Enemy because they're envious of you and they'll start cribbing about what you're saying. And a friend because obviously they respect you for being different and they respect you for everything that you're bringing to the table. Ladies and gentlemen, humor is not comedy. The biggest mistake people make is they think that cracking a joke is humor. They believe that forcing one line from WhatsApp is humor. They believe that, you cut copy and badly paste one joke and it becomes a funny speech. No, not at all. Humor is very observational. Humor is your story, my story, all our stories from real life. Humor means you always carry a small notebook with you. Humor means that it's very contextual. Humor means structure and rhythm. Some people are born humorous and others have to work very hard to be humorous. I worked so hard to be humorous that even if I tell someone you're going to die, they start laughing. They think it's a joke. Now, being a doctor, it comes in very, very handy. There's a patient who walked up to me the other day and said that, ma'am, I think I have a mental problem. I feel like a dustbin. And I looked at him and said, what rubbish. And you know what? I didn't realize that he already felt like a dustbin and I used the word rubbish. So sometimes what happens, we don't consciously realize what we are speaking. And I'm just here to share some quick formulas, maybe some tips that you can keep in your mind, where adding humor takes away the friction from speaking. It connects and engages audiences better. It leaves messages in the audience memory for a longer time. And at the end of the day, it relieves the speaker and the listener. And that's one of the reasons I take an opportunity to share about humor wherever I can. In my case, I get paid to make people laugh. So there's also a fringe benefit that you can earn a buck, and stand-up comedians earn a huge amount of money where people ask you and call you and say, make me laugh, right? Now, let me tell you also that I've observed that during my stint with students, that when I go to a premier management school and crack a joke, the student asks me, what is the meaning of this joke? So in today's world, all the youngsters look for meaningful jokes. Now, I crack PJs, and you can call them anything, UJs, UMDJs, anything that you want. But a joke is a joke. It might be a fatta joke. So what? You just need to laugh. You need to lighten yourself. When you laugh, you release a lot of happy chemicals. It lightens the speaker and it also lightens the audience if they're listening carefully. We come from a country called India, where we have a burning desire to do some learning, and you need to take the turning. That itself, if you listen to, is so funny. And when I listened to this, there was a guest sitting next to me in a Toastmaster meeting, and this was supposed to be a dignitary. He turned around at me and said, oh, this is what you speak after years of training, is it? And that's on a lighter note. So what I'm trying to share with you here is sometimes people make big mistakes, and that turns out to be funny because you're laughing at the person. At a recent live meeting, there was a young man conducting a debate. He was staring at a rather old lady who was holding a small lapel pin, and she had fixed it onto a blouse like this. And he was staring at her like this. He got so engrossed in what she was saying that instead of saying, please remove the lapel mic, he said, please remove your blouse, because it was attached to the blouse. Now, it was a big blooper. It was a blunder. But you know what? The whole audience was laughing. You know what? The bunch of students started laughing. You know what? He also started laughing. You know what? It was all win, 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 win. No one took any offense. You know what happens? We are not aware of who we are as a speaker. We are not aware of situations. We are not aware that in the online world, we have a limited bunch of resources. That's why I request everyone, keep your cameras on, because you can see a lot of things as you're watching people. And maybe you can actually bring in what we call situational humor. And I think it really works wonders. I was doing a session in the morning with the CEO of a company and his 25 team members who were senior company representatives. Guess what? It was a very interesting session for me. Throughout the session, I only saw the underwear that was hanging behind the CEO's head. He was sitting in front of a clothesline And all I could see was one chaddi hanging there like this. So my entire speech was revolving around how important inner well-being is. And they all understood it very well. Every now and then I'll say, if you want to know inner well-being, turn around and look what's hanging behind your heads. And they took it very literally. And you know what? They had a great time. They unwound, they relaxed, they remembered everything I said. When they were in the right frame of mind, I pushed the PPT to them, and then they were in a mood to look at the PPT. Ladies and gentlemen, you need to prep audiences. Now, some of you may not like a dirty joke. Now, I can't understand what's a meaningful joke, what's a dirty joke. I would understand appropriate and inappropriate. For example, now Brilliant's little one is sitting there. I also saw another little one sitting there. Don't underestimate children today. They're far more wiser than you. They're far more tech savvy. They're far more Google educated. And some of them will come and say things to you that you'll be shocked at. I went into a supermarket the other day and I saw a little boy standing there. You know what happened, ladies and gentlemen? The mother had told the boy, get me some eggs and some chicken. I heard it. This boy, he got the eggs and he forgot the word chicken. And he was standing at the supermarket. He was showing the eggs to the supermarket, the guy at the billing counter. And you know what he says? Give me one of its mummy. And he was referring to chicken as the mummy of the eggs. Now that is creativity. That is something very original. It was on the spot. He created it. Now, some of us are very gifted and we can do it. Some of us must be very careful. If you're trying to make some, of your original jokes, you've got to be extremely careful. You're gifted with a voice. You can play with your voice. You're gifted with the body. You can do so many gestures which make it look funny. You're gifted with hundreds of words. You can start using words if you want to be funny, because ladies and gentlemen, funny, being humorous is that tool which you can use to make your speech from good to great, to make your speaking from average to memorable, to make your speaking from a very average, ordinary project to something unforgettable. And that's one of the reasons why I'm here today. I'll just, in the interest of time, I'd rather want you to ask me questions, but I'll start by saying the first way in which you can incorporate humor, which is nothing but a little bit of fun, which is nothing but your own experience, honestly. Your own experience may not be grammatically correct, but at the same time, you just want to share it. Humor is about sharing an experience. Humor is about sharing someone else's experience. Humor is about your own viewpoint, and it can be funny. So that's why I call the first method of incorporating humor in your speaking is called the literal meaning. I always tell my students that I was very naughty. I asked questions in the medical school. Thereby, people asked me to get out. I've always been an outstanding student because I stood outside my classrooms. So when you say outstanding and I stood outside my classroom, it's literal meaning. And I think all of us can use that. You can use that. People always ask me, how was the weather up there? Because I was the tallest one in the class. It's very literal. You're tall, so you know the weather better up there. Now, everyone in my life looks up to me. And that's what a basketball player said. Because obviously he's 7 foot 10 inches. So you will have to look up to him. And that's why they say that you need to always marry a spouse, which is slightly shorter than you, because you can look down on them. So you can play with words like crazy. And don't take me wrong, okay? For those of you who are judging me, be careful. I'm nothing of what you imagine. And those of you who are judging can never be great audiences. So if you have anything that you think is a word that describes me, can you please type it in the chat box? You've seen me for about 10 minutes now, 5 to 8 minutes. So if somebody asks you, Dr. Ushy, describe her in one word, can you please just type it on the chat box? In one word. Any of you who feel like it, I just look at, yes, vibrant, there's a good word, tongue-in-cheek, of course, sharp, thank you, naughty, yes. Yes, so yesterday somebody, when I asked the same thing, they said, deserves to be single all her life. Oh, that's a dream, I swear to God. And that's something which is not possible as of now. But someday, inshallah, I shall make it there. Okay, so I'm just trying to tell you that, there are people who ask me all kinds of questions. Now, I saw an Arvind Nair. I went to Kerala once and that guy was asking me, are you married? And I said, yes. And he was looking very sad and he was sympathizing with my husband because I'm a very strong speaker. So he said, what does your husband do? And I said, he's from the army. And that guy looks at me and says, yes, you need army to control you. Now it's ridiculous, but everyone started laughing. So sometimes people laugh at you, people laugh thinking about you, people laugh at judgments. So the idea is to elicit mild laughter. The idea is to keep people engaged, because when you laugh, you just stay connected. When you laugh, you feel lighter. You say like, okay, it's not so boring. Let me just listen to it. So that's called the literal meaning. When you're talking literally and you're going to go and tell somebody, hey, fatty, definitely someone's going to laugh, not the fatty maybe. But instead, if you're going to go there and say, hey, you nutritional overachiever, many people will not understand you meant fatty. So you can actually substitute words, play with words. You can do a lot of things. It's called use literal meaning. And that's one of the instruments or the tools I'm teaching you so that you can keep it in your mind. It's called use literal meaning. Don't worry about these things. If you want a PDF, you can just write into me, write to Ushy at Gmail, and I'll send it to you. But one thing is, the more you read, the more confused you get. The more you do, the easier it gets. So if you can just keep 2 points in your mind and just use it in your next speech, it will work out very handy and very, very useful. Now, people love it when you crack jokes about yourself. When you crack jokes about others, they are not very comfortable. So if you're going to say things like, earlier, I had a small face and lots of hair, so I could wash a little face and I could comb a lot of hair. Today, situations have changed. So I have lots more face to wash and very less hair to comb. So what happens? People understand the joke that you're losing hair, you're balding. They say that people who bald from the front, they're great thinkers. People who bald from the back are sexy. So people who bald from the front and the back think they are sexy. So you can imagine, right? You can really now imagine. So what does humor do? It helps you visualize. So what should you do? Self-deprecating humor. Make fun of yourself. Give stories where people laugh at you. Like yesterday, a friend of mine was saying, hey, you know what? My wife's very unhappy with my family pack. She wants a six-pack. So, the family pack and the six-pack. So there's comparing and contrasting. So there are many methods. First one is the literal meaning. Second one is self-deprecating. Make fun of yourself. Make fun of yourself. Make fun of your situation. Narrate a situation in which somebody made fun of you. Okay, narrate a situation where, for example, when somebody was introducing me, they were not as kind as Pratibha. I was doing a session on change, and that session was called Expecting Change. And it's a huge hospital, 1,500 doctors listening to me. The MC comes up and says, everybody, please welcome Dr. Ushy. She's expecting. And he stopped there. And everyone was looking at me like this, as if it was a miracle and the second coming. You understand what I'm trying to say? Because I'm way past the age of production. So what is he saying? Expecting change. He forgot the word change. He paused after expecting. So I looked at him and I said, hey, you know what? And then he looked at me and said, yeah, she's expecting change. So he rephrased it, corrected it, but the damage in a good way was already done. People started laughing because they were expecting something else. So pausing at the wrong places makes a big, big difference. And that's why you've got to understand that in a clear-cut manner. Every sentence where you pause changes the meaning of the sentence. My wife from Madras is coming today. It means that I've got a wife in every station. So you've got to be very careful where you're pausing. So, learn that literal meaning, self-deprecatory, extremely important, exaggeration. Exaggeration works wonders. Whenever it rains in Chennai, you don't need a car, you need a boat. Now that's exaggeration. Whenever it rains in Chennai, forget it. Whenever it rains in Mumbai, Mumbai becomes like Venice. What is that? Exaggeration. Okay, it's like an ant on an elephant's back. You can imagine. Nobody uses a machine gun to kill a mosquito. Now, all of these words elicit imagination, visualization, and a smile on your face. So it's important that we realize that exaggeration does wonders. And that's why I keep telling people that there are many ways in which you can exaggerate. For example, today I got my wife a credit card. Today she's on the MasterCard Hall of Fame. So you can imagine what she's done with the card, right? So it's important that you don't get too direct. but at the same time give some lateral meanings. Am I coming across clear? I'd like to see a thumbs up. Are you guys able to get some value? Thank you very much. So it's always important to check. So show me an occasional thumbs up, give me a smiley, don't show me a middle finger. You can always pump in a heart and things like that. So I talk a lot to students. Students are very vibrant, they're very honest. So after 3 hours of doing an MBA class the other day, I asked the student, how was the class? And he said, your green nail polish was really nice. So for 3 hours, all he was looking at is my nail polish. So I've stopped wearing nail polish now. So, there are many such things which are distractors. In the online world, we have very restricted spaces. So one must refrain from doing things. If you're standing and speaking, be very careful. There are certain parts of your body which keep coming close to the camera, away from the camera, close to the camera. So we are reminded of Raj Kundra sometimes. So you need to be really careful. Say, I didn't say anything. Ankit is falling back laughing. So he's imagining Raj Kundra, right? So it's your job to make them imagine things. All right. So you need to really understand a lot of things when it comes to exaggeration. The next method which I use is compare and contrast. Compare and contrast. You can compare so many things. For example, I've got a friend who speaks like the radio. She never stops speaking, but the advantage is that there are no commercial breaks. So when you listen to that, you're comparing her to the radio and you're giving me the contrast that there are no commercial breaks. So you can use that. My friend is like a radio. She keeps talking nonstop. But you know what? The nice thing is she doesn't have commercial breaks. So these are things which you can create on your own so that the audience has a vivid imagination. The audience understands your message and your humor is being used to enhance your message, not the other way. Your humor is being used to enhance your message and not a message being used so that some humor is, thrown here and there in between one WhatsApp joke and you laughing at your own joke. Ha, 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 ha. I've seen many speakers who you never stop laughing at their own jokes. So it's really important that you are time conscious. You're also conscious about the subject. You come back with a message, and that's why I said compare and contrast. So I made up one during the COVID times, and I said, whoever said that finding God was difficult, try logging into the COVID app and try getting a slot. Finding God becomes easier. So this is exactly what I'm trying to say. People know now that's a compare and that's a contrast. So I work on some of these things very much because I speak at least 5 hours minimum every day. And it's a professional hazard. Of course, I'm paid to speak, but that doesn't mean that probably you end up speaking so much. But by default, in the last 2 weeks, it's been so. And that's why in the next 3 days, I'm taking a small break. Now, the next most important, we spoke about being literal. We spoke about self-deprecation. We spoke about exaggeration. We also spoke about compare and contrast. They are beautiful techniques that you can start using maybe from tomorrow or day after, even in your regular conversations. Now, words, like I told you, words are my world. I read about 1 or 2 newspapers minimum a day. Sometimes it goes to 4 or 5. I read about 1 book a week, 2 books a week, based on my time and my management of time availability. You must increase your word quotient. Maybe a simple word, maybe a simple phrase. Every time you're stuck for something, you just say, yeah, interesting. Now that buys you time. Now, you need to find some phrases. For example, I encourage all of you. I urge all of you to. I request each and every one of you. You know what? You're winning people towards listening. And it's really important for you to understand that. Somebody's asking me, how long is your day? It's just as long as 25 hours. It's 24 plus what I decide. On the weekends, it's about 32 hours. So I'll teach you that because I'm a precision time manager and you need to understand that time is always spent. You can never, ever buy time. Time can never be saved. It has to be spent. And now we are spending it in a very, very constructive way. Now, somebody told me, aspire to inspire before you expire. It sounds ridiculous. I wouldn't use it. But some people like it. I mean, maybe it's called terrorism. I mean, it's a new form of terrorism where you use big words and confuse people. But what the heck? People love it. Now, if you're going to say things like, congratulations to termination of your isolation. Instead of saying happy married life, I think I'd rather go for the happy married life. But if you choose to play with words, yes, people enjoy it. Like there's a man here the other day, he was learning from me, and then he told me there's a Kannada saying, I want to translate it. And I said, what happened? Now the Kannada saying goes to, now you'll understand it in English. He told me exactly this: where game, which play, there play. Don't play here, go play there. Now in Kannada, it sounds really nice. It means that you got to speak in context. It means that you got to play a game in context. If it's cricket, you know the rules of the game. If it's basketball, you know the rules of the game. They're both ball games, but the size of the ball is very different. The same way in Kannada, there's a beautiful saying. He mutilated it. He killed it. But you know what? People were laughing because I've never heard anything like this. Where, which game, there play. Don't play here, go play there. And people were laughing because of the construction of words. And you can use it. So long as people laugh, it need not make sense. It need not always be intelligent. Like Brilliant said, why are you talking so much of sense? Sometimes nonsense too matters. And it's important to lighten up. It's important to understand that you're laughing with people. You're trying to make them also laugh. And you're trying to help them relax a little bit when you're trying to drive home a message. Now, I hit a man with a Coke can. He wasn't hurt. You know why? Because Coke is a soft drink. All right, now how dumb does that sound? But people enjoy it. There are people who are laughing, hitting themselves and falling from their chairs and all that. So don't judge a joke. Try and be participative. Even if some joke you're finding no meaning and all that, then you please don't say LOL. You need to have an expression on your damn face. And not in today's world, ROFLLMAO, SSAAIPDED. I don't understand any of that language. I just understand a basic smile. And I think it's not difficult at all. So quickly, moving on. What did I share now? Wordplay. You can use words. However you want, you can use words. Get them together, get it sounding similar, use alliterations, academic Armageddon. Wow, sounds like something really great, but it means it's tragic. You failed miserably. So it's called academic Armageddon. I mean, it's like something which is like, it'll buy you the time and people will think you're from Harvard before they realize you're from Chitradurga. So, you know, you need to buy yourself that kind of time so that people will find some sense of alliterations in your speaking, puns, repetition. You can do so many such things, right? So there are millions of ways. I'm discussing the simplest and the easiest ones. Just give me another 5 minutes and I'll finish it very quickly. Twisting quotes. Now, quotes can be very irritating, especially Winston Churchill and Benjamin Franklin. God help. It's an overkill. People come out with all these big quotes and sometimes they forget who quoted also. So there was a Toastmaster who was taking an education session and he said, every time you forget, you just say Benjamin Franklin because half the quotes he's only said and nobody can find out. Now that's crazy. I believe that you can come out with your own quotes. You can say things like what I say. I'm pregnant and Nutella is the father. Okay, now if you look at the words, they're very intense. People will understand. And some people will say, check. Like I went to a software company and I asked a young lady, do you drink? It's the weekend. So I asked her, do you drink? She said, yes. And the old lady next to her says, pooh. And she's very, angry that the young girl drinks. She made that sound. And I'm wondering, how can you judge somebody just because of what they do? But unfortunately, we do. And that's why I want you to remember, twisting quotes sometimes. If one door closes and another door opens, your house must be haunted. Now, the general quote, right? When one door closes, the other opens and all that. So every time there is a will, there is a relative. So twist the quote. Opportunity knocks only once. If it's more than once, it's relatives. So you can actually twist hundreds of quotes. Okay? Dog is man's best friend. But please remember that the dog knows that too. So if you look at quotes, you can actually have so many quotes. I am the owner of this house. Never mind the dog. Beware of the owner. So you can come out with millions of such statements. I have this quote hanging outside my house. Never mind the owner, the dog. Beware of the owner. And my husband came and told me, please take it out. People are staring at me. I meant me, but people started staring at him. right? So, yeah, humor can be very lateral. It can be misunderstood. That's a risk you've got to take. Now, behind every successful man is one woman, and behind every unsuccessful man are more than one. So you can really, just twist it, use it, ensure that they're not very gender centric. You can irritate a few people. Feminism, etc., is very high. The other day I just said my respects to LGBTQ A to Z, and somebody got really offended, and they said that I'm LGBTQ phobic. That's not true. They never bothered to check. They've written an article. I've done 1,000 good things. I never got an article written about me. But I said one thing, and I've got 15 articles written about me saying I'm LGBTQ phobic. The negative sells and spreads crazy. So I try and keep it as light as possible. I respect all kinds of genders, and sometimes people keep misunderstanding. Now, I really don't care if you don't understand me, but you must be very careful that people don't misunderstand. And I think humor takes away a lot of that. Humor actually buffers a lot of the misunderstanding. So please remember all what we discussed: self-deprecating, literal meaning, exaggeration, compare and contrast, wordplay, and extremely important, twisting quotations. If you can remember at least this, there's the last one, or maybe one or two more. Do you want 2, 3 more? Do you want 2, 3 more? I'm not really sure. You should tell me if you want 2 or 3 more methods. Yeah, you need to give me an indication. Yeah. Thank you very much. So there's something called setup, pause, and punch. You need to make a setup, stop, and then give it the punch. Take my wife. Please. You know how much of trouble I'm in, right? So that's how you set it up. Take my wife. And you're like, why? So pause. And then say, please. She's troubling me. So the same way, you can make your own short setup. You can have a setup, you can pause, and then give the punchline. There can be numerous things, but we call it create a situation, pause for a while, and give a punchline. The technique can be yours. There are thousands and thousands of examples. For example, I decided I'm going to get married. So I decided I'm going to study men and women equally well. So I bought this book called Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus. I read page to page, line by line, word to word. I got married. It's 2 months since I got married. And I realized after reading page to page, line by line, word to word, that men are from Mars, but my wife is not from Venus. So can you see? It's a story. You've got to build it all up. And then the mind will start thinking, oh, okay. And the disadvantage is that the story, if it's too long, people forget. So you got to make it really short. I like a one line. Like, for example, take my wife. For example, now, if I'm going to say, I hate Toastmasters, then it's an affirmation. People will judge you. But instead, if you say, I don't like Toastmasters, then they'll be like, and then you say, I love Toastmasters. So what are you creating? You're creating a small negation, and then you're twisting it and saying it. If you say, I hate Toastmasters, it's affirmative. So always create negations and then a small pause, and then try and bring back a reaffirmation, which is really strong and useful. So that's something which is called a setup and a pause and a punch. Extremely important, obvious statements. Obvious statements. For example, it's written on a baby's pram. Remove baby before folding. It's too obvious. I mean, remove baby before folding. Who's going to keep the baby there and fold? Right? Now, I saw outside a grocery door the other day when I went out. It says, open the door before entry. I mean, it's ridiculous, but we all laughed. We took a picture. We shared it on social media. Why? Because it's called stating the obvious. So stating the obvious can be really fun. So think about it. If it's easy for you, you can also state the obvious. It's a brilliant way of being funny. Using 3 words together. For example, now, judges are very consistent. They're consistently punctual. They're consistently sincere. And they consistently choose a winner who's not deserving. So it's actually you're taking a dig. You're also saying something, and you're using the word consistent, 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 consistent. It does hit in the brain, it registers. So that's called actually the rule of 3. You can use words in 3 sequences in any different way that you want. Okay, so that's also really, really comfortable and good. Puns create great laugh lines. There are many puns you can create. There are many puns you can borrow. Puns are the lowest forms of humor, I'm told, but I still believe that people laugh and there are enough jokes, there's enough of stuff that can come by, one-liners that are really good. And at the end of the day, saying things like, whoever invented the S in the fast food deserves my congratulations. It was a great PR exercise. So if you remove the S from the fast food, you know what happens. And in this context, yesterday there was a man in my house. So he told me, Ushy, I'd like to have some fast food. So I got him a burger. And he says, no, I'm fasting. I want upma. So he meant fast food is when he's fasting something he can eat. So people use language in a strange way. I want you to remember that humor is something very, very personal. Humor is something which has a style which is very individual. You must be very, very comfortable. Otherwise, it's not going to work. You must also be very much at ease. You cannot forget. So at the end of the day, even if you forget, you should be able to have something to just cover it up. Silence can be funny. If I just say anything and wait for 2 minutes, my friends start laughing because they know something is coming. And you shouldn't become predictable. Okay, I'm pretty irreverent in my humor. I really don't care what people say. For example, the other day somebody asked me, ma'am, you can talk and handle any table topic. And I said, no problem, tell me. And he actually didn't like me much. So he said, everyone says face the problem. But if your face is the problem, how will you face it? I said, I'm sorry, gentlemen, I don't know. You should tell me. I think you've been living with that for 30 years. So he didn't know what to say, right? So he wanted a nice, dig at me. And that's really all right. People are all different kinds. Don't take offense. You just have fun. You just come in there to share good things and you ensure that you leave in some great memories. So I've already finished quite a few techniques, not more than this, but I'll tell you something like, if you remember words like money talks, mine always says goodbye. People relate to it. So money talks, mine always says goodbye. They say speech is for free, then why the mobile bills? All right. They say that light travels faster than sound. No wonder some speakers look bright before they speak. So that's taking a dig at somebody. You can still be funny. So that's completely left to the risk of the speaker. If you're willing to take a chance, you can just go ahead. So I would say you need to also maintain some non-gender specific humor. Some of us crack married jokes. Some of us crack male jokes, female jokes. You've got to be very careful. Like yesterday, some Toastmaster told me, we need to have a female sergeant at arms. She's adding glamour to the meetings. Now, he meant it in a very light note, but I saw all the girls going, and I told him, you be careful, you're going to get beaten up. So there are chances that people might take offense. Just be a little careful. A very desperate young man called me today and asked me, how do you disable autocorrect in wife? I told him, I have no solutions. All your life you will be corrected, and that's autocorrect, right? So there are many such things you can use. Create it. Like I said, if you really want to use humor, the best way is to use it. Start somewhere. Use 1 or 2 methods. Never forget the structure. Never forget the emphasis. Never forget the setup. Never forget the pause. And never forget the punch. Timing is everything in humor. If you're going to say a joke and continue and, just forget what the punchline is, then obviously people will laugh at you. They won't laugh with you. So that risk is also yours. So to all the fellow Toastmasters and guests, I'm open to questions now. I've already shared a lot of methods by which you can incorporate humor. You can try humor. It's never killed anybody. Lack of it has killed many people. So you can try humor and you can try building up on your speeches. You can try enhancing your speeches. It's like that salt and pepper in the soup. It's like that lovely salad dressing on the salad. Why did the Sardar peep into the fridge? To see the salad dressing. What a PGA, but a smile on some of your faces, right? So what the heck? I mean, who cares about it being poor or, rich? Some things that you heard. Avoid the cliched ones. But at the end of the day, yes, you can keep doing lots of things. But in humor, you should remember either you think, many people they say are two types of speakers. Some of them stop to think and some of them don't think to stop. You need to find out which category you belong to. We start and we never stop. We just keep going on. I've given you more than 7 to 8 methods of incorporating humor. There are many more methods. There are many linguistic methods, which means words have superpower. You can use words to engage audiences. You can use words to elevate audiences. You can use words to inspire audiences. And there's no limit to what words you can use. Any questions for me? Anything that you want me to specifically address? Is there anything that I can share more than this? Otherwise, I think this is a great basic level to start with. And when you start using it, please validate whatever I've shared. My email ID is write2ushy@gmail. You can always write into me if you want some kind of tips you wanted to run by me. Otherwise, you can ask me questions on the chat box. I'm sharing my email ID over there. So you can always write into me. If you prefer to WhatsApp, I'm sharing my WhatsApp number with you guys. Always stay in touch. The Toastmasters are a bunch of mean people. They never say good things. They never text you. They never keep in touch. I love my students. They're on Instagram. They connect with you. They put a story. They're forever like flashing good things. And the Toastmasters are very lazy as a bunch. You just sit here and say, oh, I'll give you feedback, and that's it. So I really don't look forward to any feedback, but I look forward to appreciation. If you have anything that I can add value with, please just ask me. I never regret anything that made me smile. Nothing. Even if it means that somebody cried because of that, that's fair enough. But as long as I smiled, ladies and gentlemen, I never regret anything. And so it's always nicer. Get more objective than subjective. All right. Any questions for me? Let me look at the chat box. Pratibha, I don't know how you're going to handle it. Yes, I've taken exactly 40 minutes. How do we engage? Okay, the first question, how do we engage most of the people? Because some of them are moody and most of them are in different moods, right? So it's important to wake up people. It's also important to ask people, are you listening to me? Are you able to hear me? Can you see my gray hair? And they'll be like, gray hair, where is it? And then you say, can you see the hair on my head? And people will be like, where else? Okay, so you need to create that kind of curiosity. You need to create that kind of what we call a hook in your speaking. And when you hook the brain of another person, the brain gets engaged and they want to listen to it. Listening is very optional. You cannot force people. You have to find your own space of comfort. It's called hooking audiences, hook and bait. And these are two techniques we use to anchor audiences. I hope I'm able to add some value. Is there any other question that I can take you with? Okay. Okay, with proverbs. Okay, there are hundreds of proverbs. Early to bed and early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and mostly useless. So you can come up with anything. When you have one bird in hand, why are you running after one in the bush? So you can twist, you can mutilate, you can use anything that you want as a proverb. So karma is the only restaurant where there's no menu. You get what you deserve. All right? So what goes around comes around. What's that? It's a boomerang. So what goes around, suppose it doesn't come around, that's a stick. So you can come out with hundreds. I mean, you can counter, you can agree, you can disagree, you can make it past, present, and future. So there can be so many things that you will talk about. They say, as I keep growing old, I have silver in my hair, gold in my mouth, and lead in my bones. You can go further, but not in Toastmasters. I'm stopping at above the waist. So no below the waist jokes, but ensure you wear your belt on your knees. So you can just go on and on. I mean, there's no limit. So any other questions? Yeah, okay, why are you asking me questions in private? Okay, fine. Sometimes certain events are really funny. Sharing them doesn't sound that funny. How can that be addressed? Yeah, you got to be a good narrator. Can you play a joke on the audience? Why not? But if somebody gets offended, then you'll have to take the risk. All right. So if some events are funny, unless you're really good, stop, narrating an event which you're not really good at. So the best way is to check when you do it with somebody. So do a test run. Do either a recording and see how you're sounding. Do it in front of the mirror and see if you're finding it funny. Always send and bug your family and friends and say to them and see if they're finding it funny. And you know your worst critic. Share the joke with your spouse. If they criticize you, you know for sure that it's not funny. So there'll be a worst critic. So go over there and just crack a joke, right? So how to reply humor? Okay, now this is the next question. How do you break the humor barrier with business leaders, mostly from the corporate? What shall be the sequence of introductions of guests in the discussion panel as a moderator? Are there any do's and don'ts? Well, Robin, I think as a moderator, you've got to be averagely serious. But it's important to say that the last time somebody was a serious moderator, we saw his picture in the obituary. So it just means that you would have died being serious. So you got to be very natural and spontaneous. If it doesn't come to you, you got to be prepared and spontaneous. So keep this small repertoire of, say, 5 sentences, 3 one-liners, 5 phrases, 2 alliterations that can make it sound really funny. If you have the burning desire to do some learning, take the turning. And this is what somebody said. So just keep these things in your mind. And I'll, as we are going to end, I'll share a joke when we are finally through with the questions. And you'll understand, if you're a very sharp, keen listener, like we call a focused listener, a focused, active listener, you will get enough material from every speech to be funny. Like, for example, in our club, there's a gentleman who always, when he evaluates, he looks at a young girl and he says, "Madam, you are opening. So fantastic." And he'll be doing this, and the girl is very upset because that's very, very in the face and it's not a very scenic gesture, right? And then he looks at her and says, "Forget the opening, your body. What a body you have, madam." So he's describing her body, not the body of the speech. That girl left the membership thanks to this gentleman's evaluation. So I'm just trying to tell you, there was one chap who was a new Toastmaster. Nobody oriented him. And he was coming and saying, "Praveen has 1 R. Deepthi has 2 R's." So he didn't know the plural of R is just an R. So he went on to say that Deepthi had 2 R's and she left the club too. So there are many casualties like this, my dear fellow Toastmasters and guests. And you must smile. When somebody is trying desperately to crack a joke, thank you. Many of you are laughing, but some of you are sitting in Buddha mode. I think that's learning. But learning happens when you relax. Learning happens when you show me your teeth. Learning happens when you roll your head back. Learning happens when your entire amygdala is relaxed and you're not feeling the stress of speaking. You can speak for 14 hours and not be tired. And that's exactly what I'm sharing. So don't worry. In panels, you've got to be a little careful when you're talking to, losers lose on laughter. Yes, Girija, definitely. See, if you ask my students, describe Ushy in 1 word, 90% of my students will write badass. I've observed that. The other day, I asked one of my students and I said, "Hey, you know what? Tell me quickly, what do you think of me?" And she said, "You're a boss-ass bitch." And I said, "Whoa, nice." And her teacher wanted to suspend her, throw her out. And then I said, no. Ask her what it means. And she said, "Ma'am, in the Urban Dictionary, the word bab is a proper word. It's a boss-ass bitch is a word called hi bab. It's not a babe, but it's a bab." And you know what's a bab? It's somebody who knows what she wants, gets what she wants, and enables others get what they want. So had I judged her, I should have also been in that get out frame. But I wasn't. I asked her, "What is it?" I asked her, "What did you mean?" And you know what? She explained beautifully. So you can learn from the young as well. You can always have fun. So today, all my young friends call me hi bab. And that's fair enough. So I get called names. I get called all kinds of names. And some Toastmasters the other day called me Mary Com. Somebody was calling me Donald Bradman. Somebody told me, you're like Caesar. Only thing is you came, you saw, you mesmerized. So people come up with all these beautiful words. I make note of it. I just have a good laugh and I carry on. You're only as good as your last performance. In speaking, you don't have history and geography. You have statistics. And there's something called lies, absolute lies, and statistics. You've got to be careful. You got to build authentic backgrounds. You got to be an authentic speaker. Be true to who you are. I am mischievous, I'm naughty, I'm natural, I'm spontaneous. I'll never move from this. I'll not come here and start preaching to you and all that. Like there was a judge, and I believe he looked at a criminal who was coming there for the 10th time, a robber, a thief. And the judge looked at the thief and said, you don't have any shame? You're coming here 10th time? And the thief looked at him and said, have you any shame? You come here every day. So the context is the same, right? You've got to be very careful. People will sometimes show you the mirror. So when it comes to CEOs, you need to know how to not brutalize their egos. You need to know how not to bruise their super egos. That's a risk you've got to learn. Start with ordinary great people like Toastmasters. Later you can go to the CEOs, but just take an insurance and find a new job before you hit them with humor. You never know the consequences. Because sometimes the CEOs tell me, I don't mind what he said to me, but I didn't like the way he said it to me. So there are people who live on high judgment and they have very high, very fragile ecosystems. So when you're dealing with that, you've got to be a little more careful, a little more cautious, work on puns, work on alliterations, work on repetitions, work on what we call altered image projections and things like that. Like it took me 10 years to get my PhD. It took me 15 years to get over it. They'll understand that kind of humor. Very intelligent joke, huh? They come and tell you. So you can use that. Right? You can't come in and say that Raj Kundra is arrested, but Miss Leonie is roaming free. They'll say, gee, what a dirty girl she is. You know? So it's basically like that. So one man's poison is another man's perfume. When you open the window, one guy sees the sky, the other one sees the sand. So it's about perspectives, it's about context, it's about being natural. So you don't learn humor, you practice humor. And so you can start from today. Make it a part of your daily conversations. Any other questions for me? You've given me quite a lot of your time. Thank you so much. And yes, attitude, confidence, yes. I'm not really sure. You've got to work on your breath. You've got to work on your enunciations. And, you know, I would say that I just have another 2 minutes. So in those 2 minutes, I will tell you that a friend of mine and me, we went to Ahmedabad to give a lecture the other day. And there was a colleague doctor of mine from Bangalore. And both of us went in there. And the host was a young Gujarati lady with a Gujarati accent. And we have in our seminars, Hall A, Hall B, Hall C. They're big halls, small halls, and things like that. So this lady comes in and she introduces Dr. Vinay Reddy. And then she says, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce Dr. Vinay Reddy, a very important doctor from Bangalore. Now in Gujarati, important is said as important. And Vinay wasn't one bit happy. So he was introduced as Dr. Vinay Reddy, the important doctor from Bangalore. And as soon as he came by, all the halls were occupied. So the lady goes on and she says, Dr. Vinay, I know you're very important, but today you have to speak in the small hole and not in the big hole. Now in Gujarati, it's a hole, it's not a hall. So this is a Zoom hole. So you have a hall A and a hall B. So in different parts of India, you have a different mother tongue influence. So I've been exposed to all things, and I'm not judgmental, but in the sake of humor, like even when I landed in Ahmedabad airport, somebody told me, Ushy, please give me your pain. And I thought, oh, wow, what a compassionate lot these Gujaratis are. And they were asking for my pain. All right. So you need to understand that we all come with a certain deal of baggage. And it's important to just use it, have fun. Like in West Bengal, you can have Ball's ice cream. It's WALLS, right? So everywhere you'll have, some kind of mother tongue influence. Everywhere, if you go to Kerala, we know Dr. Brilliant will know. All of us are made fun of because of our extremely simple language command that we have. So, everywhere you can have all these things, and it's all made fun of by stand-up comics. You can also make fun of it. So there's nothing wrong in it. There's nothing right or wrong in humor. It's all very, very contextual. All right. So thank you for your time. Thank you for all your smiles. I've shared my number and my email ID. I'd be so grateful if you can share a few lines and join me on Instagram, join me on Facebook. I'm available everywhere except on Pornhub. I'm not saying more. I'm too old. So I guess I'll end on that note. And I thank Pratibha. I thank the clubs. I thank everyone. Sherman, thank you for coming as a guest from Sri Lanka. And I can see a lot of other guests who come by and joined. I'd love for you to share a couple of good things on the chat box. So I know, Pratibha, I asked you for a post-event poster where you just screenshot all what people are saying on the chat box and just make me a nice post-event poster, because I live on Instagram. I hope I don't die there, but I do share a lot on Instagram. So do come by and share a story. I'd love all of you to switch on your cameras and give me a thumbs up, put your hearts on. Let me take a screenshot and put it up on my story. It's been a brilliant evening. I think during COVID, these are the best times that we all can be together. What a beautiful evening of sharing, laughter, joy, meeting new people, making new friends. I think the virus can never take any of this away from us. So though we are socially distanced, I don't see we are emotionally distanced at all. I see it as a positive. I've been to Japan, Korea, Timbuktu, and all the countries in the world sitting in my laundry room. And I think it's fantastic. So, all I'm doing is just looking across the screen. I'm doing a meditation session on 28th for free. If any of you want to come by, just text me. It's an Indonesian audience, but it's a free session. You all are free to come and meditate with me. I train in meditation, so you can all come by. I'll take you through a live round. I'll hypnotize you, find out all your secrets, and send you back. I'm joking, okay? That's not what I'm doing. People are scared. Sometimes they ask me, are you reading my mind? Are you understanding my secrets? No, none of that happens. So if you really want to meditate, please do come back. Otherwise, yes, I think we've taken beautiful screenshots. I request all Chaitya Shah and Aditya. I think if you can just, Aditya Iyer and Chaitya Shah, if you can switch on your cameras, maybe I think we are almost, page number 2, I think everybody is switched on. So please give me a big smile. So as I just go through, I think we have a lot of guests who are not switched on. Page 3, page 4, no photograph. I don't take box photographs. Yeah. So thank you so much. Y'all have been fabulous. And I hope to keep in touch with at least 10 of you. My assets are people with me. And I love to learn from all of you. So if at all there are meetings, just keep me posted. I always make time. So busy people always have time. It's the people who are not busy who keep crying that I don't have time, I'm too busy and all. I work in 14 jobs. I'm a bread baker today. From a doctor, I still am a doctor, but I bake professional bread. Sometimes I get calls from people who don't know I'm a doctor asking me, bakery kitne baje khulegi madam? And I'm like, surgery pehle kholne do, baad mein bakery kholungi main. Okay? So where there is a will, ladies and gentlemen, there is a highway. Please don't forget that. And where there is a super will, there's a runway. So there's no limit to humor. So stop limiting yourself. Stop looking constipated. If you've made kaka and gone to the bathroom once a day, you should be smiling. Some of you are like, gee, very good. And I'm okay with it. That's the way you think. Those of you who love me, can you please show me a thumbs up? Please raise your fingers if you love me. Okay, those of you who don't love me, please raise your standards, okay? So you can take that one line. I share it with all my friends.
That was the best one.
Yeah, take it. And you can use it in your audiences and tell them, if you love me, raise your hand. And if they don't, right, some smarties won't be raising their hand. So you tell them, those who don't, please raise your standards. So you will slowly see the hand going up. So it's good fun. People love to fit in, but some of them just don't listen. Any comments for me? Thank you so much for all the beautiful good words. Yeah. Those of you who want to know, some of you have asked me about the meditation. I've shared my number. I'm sharing it once again. Just send me a text message, please. And I will send you the link. That's on 28th of this month. It's in the afternoon. It's a Saturday around 3 o'clock. So it should suit you because I'm doing it Indonesian time.
Okay.
It's not religious at all, so don't worry. It's just sound healing. We use sounds to heal. And you can do a practice. We teach you something you can do in your own house. It helps a lot of people. It actually refreshes a lot of your people, and you can share it with anybody as well. So we share an affirmation soundtrack after that. So everything happens on WhatsApp, right? Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes. You have anything else to share with me? Otherwise,
yeah.
Great evening to all of you. Yeah.
Dr. Ushy, 1 minute. We are implementing all these humor principles into practice now. With Dr. Brilliant, he'll be giving us funny table topics. So
nice. Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yes, Brilliant. Virtual stage is yours.
Check, am I visible?
Yeah. As Tillam sir.
I'm audible as well. Stating the obvious. So I got a ping and I said, okay, let me take a dig at what we are trying to achieve here today. Ankit said, sir, I know you can be a good TT master. Go ahead and kill it. And then during this session, Ushy spoke about PowerPoint is all about killing people, death by PowerPoint. So I thought I should blend both and bring to you a table topic session. I have 10 images. Ushy spoke about humor is all about observation. And what I would want and encourage all of you, my preference is people who have not actually practiced being a good table topic speaker. Practiced means you know what, right? Not a champion speaker. The idea is, let's see how we can implement what we learned from the session. Some of the points, I'm not saying we will all be able to do it. Some of us may, some of us may not. It's perfectly fine. But the encouragement is for all those who have not really tried table topics as a seasoned Toastmaster. Are we okay with that? We will give opportunities. I have 10 topics. So knowing that we are in India, we'll go by the reservation system. We will have at least 20% reserved for Toastmasters. So 2 topics for Toastmasters of the 10. Good?
Just table topics, Mr. Brilliant. Just to check with you, you will be needing any timing guidelines, something like that?
Yes. I'm coming to that. So the timing will remain the same. The timing is as a standard table topics timing, which is 1 to 2 minutes, and we have the Sergeant at Arms stepping in as the timer. That is Vasudeva. Vasudeva, are you here? I'm just trying to find you.
Yep, pretty much here.
Yep. So Vasudeva will be the timer. The timing limits are the same. So quickly, for the benefit of everyone in this room, we will approach table topics in the standard format that Toastmasters recommends us. I will display the picture and then I will invite people so that you are aware of what you will be speaking, rather than bring you into a state of shock, because at times it can be tricky, right? So the picture will be shown. Please use digital raise of hands. My son is already laughing because he's seen the pictures that I have downloaded and he's saying, okay, it will be a fun session. Are we game?
Yes.
Perfect. So we all know that there are 5 senses, right? Sight, hear, smell, taste, and touch. We may not be using all of it. What we will be testing is your sense of humor and your power of observation. Let's make sure that we do the best we can. So as soon as you see the share, just give me a thumbs up so I know that the screen is visible to all of you. Thank you. Okay, so are we ready for the table tennis, right? What did you tell me? Table topics or table tennis? Ankit, you told me table tennis, right? TT. So it's important that you don't pass the ball. You need to make sure that you balance the ball for some time. The minimum time is 1 minute. The maximum is 2 minutes. The timer will display green at 1, yellow at 1.5 minutes, and at 2 minutes, you will see the red card. End of 2 minutes, 30 seconds, if you speak, you get disqualified. And I hope that you're able to balance the ball for a minimum of 1 minute and up to 2 minutes, 30 seconds. So let the ball start rolling. The first picture is on screen. All I want you to do is observe. Raise your digital hand. I cannot see you because I have a limited option here. I can see just about 9 people on screen. Raise your digital hand so I can see you come up on top of my screen. It's very easy. Okay, we have Girija who has raised her hand. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, put your hands together for Girija Deshpande. Girija, over to you.
Thank you. Human evolution is indeed the great. You can see here, some monkey gets a banana, and as time passes, the monkey learns to enjoy it. Then as he becomes a human being, he stops being human because he doesn't care for others and he's throwing away the banana peel behind and somebody else is going to fall down. So the being human has become not being human. That is the saddest part. Thank you so much. I thought I'm seeing the yellow. I don't know. Oh, it's still white. Okay. Sorry, I missed the time this thing. I saw this on this side.
Speaker Girija, would you want to continue? Oh.
Okay. Yes. So when we talk about being human, we say that a human being is someone who is considerate of whom he considers himself as somebody important and not others. That's what we see here. So there was this occasion when I was in an auto rickshaw, and then when I got down, I just forgot that I was not sitting with my husband in the car. And as a matter of consideration and love, just as I tell my husband, thank you so much, I love you, see you in the evening. And the auto rickshaw driver turns back and stares at me. So that was the level of consciousness with which I operated. So as a human being, sometimes we don't do things deliberately, but also because we are not aware, unconscious of what we are doing. And so that is why probably the banana peel landed behind and somebody else would stop and fall. Was it a continuation or did it begin from the beginning timing?
Thank you, Girija.
Okay.
Thanks for the great attempt. Well done. So as you can see, depending upon what comes to your mind, this image can have many interpretations.
That's
right. It's all about interpretations, and humor specifically requires you to take that interpretation to a next level. Let's look at the next photograph, and I would request members in the audience to take a good look at the photograph and then raise your digital hand so I can permit you to speak. So we have Toastmaster Riddhi who has raised her hand. Riddhi, you know the timelines, you know the guidelines. Over to you, Riddhi.
Oh my God, I see this poor man. He is being bestowed with all the responsibilities. All the females are enjoying beach time. You please carry all our purses, all our baggages. You are brought here only for that, for no other reason. We are the ones who are supposed to enjoy, because most of the times we don't enjoy when we are in the kitchen. So it's a payback time to you. Do all these responsibilities for us and let us enjoy. But yes, I feel pity for that man because he's handling probably 10% baggage. So all the best, but kind of deserved it as well. So thank you. Okay, my screen. Okay, well. Okay, done.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Toastmaster Riddhi.
Thank you.
It is something that reminds me of a great Indian song. Sari duniya ka boj hum uthate. Thank you so much for that attempt. And we move on to the next picture. And we have Prasad. Prasad, who has raised his hand. Prasad, over to you.
Hello, yeah. So can you share that image so I will get little like a yeah.
Sure.
Reference. Okay, so this skin remind me my one of my friend. I usually have boys friend and a friend circle of girls also, but he was talking too much. Sometimes that much like he talk more than a girl. So I think this suits him because it's at the lipstick or a girl. Even he have a beard. He also talk much like he look like a corporate guy, but he talk that much like he look like a corporate lady. So it is very good. It is very different thing, and we obviously smile at his jokes and his things. But as he talk much, we lose the confidence because of it. And sometimes he try to be a very good person and a very talkative person, but it not cracks much joke. And sometimes he want to address as the best person in the office, but he always do the half work and goes before 2 a.m. 2 p.m. So everyone knows that he is not that good. And some and sometimes it is used as having a lipstick or thing considered as a feminist thing. But some boys have all the feminine sign, but they don't wear the lipstick. So we can consider them also as a like a feminine thing. So yeah. Yes, thank you for yeah, thank you for that.
This reminds me of what Ushy said, that she's gender agnostic. So that's a thought, food for thought, that many a times we get carried away by the stereotypes. And I still remember what Ushy said, that someone said you had a great green color nail polish. Okay, the next picture is up. And I need volunteers. Volunteers, Toastmasters, guess, anyone? Okay, Surya.
Hello.
Hi, Surya. You know the rules? You know the timing guidelines? Over to you.
Yeah.
Over to you.
So this picture reminds me of not caring about what the world thinks about you and just living life to what the fullest with what you feel like is the right at that moment of time. So just being in the moment and enjoying the beauty of the nature along with your favorite things. And yeah, the tummy may be coming out in there, but he's just with himself and enjoying by himself. So yeah, that is what I feel is helps us to stay in the moment and just be be with our own self for some time. So this is just one perfect picture which captures that. I'm not able to see the timers. Maybe I haven't pinned that, but yeah, this picture is a perfect example of being in the moment and enjoying the moment, which is symbolized by this man not caring about how his tummy is out and what the people would be thinking, but he's just enjoying and being with himself. So yeah, over to you.
Thank you, Surya. Thanks for that. And this is a great example of a beer belly, as Deepak rightly posted in the chat. It is an example of a song. I'm sorry, I love Hindi songs. I think, Surya, you also love songs, so you could have started probably by saying "Tumko tummy se chura lo." Just joking. Great job, and I think you're enjoying somewhere at the beach. Have fun.
Yeah.
Have fun. We move on to the next picture, and people can raise their digital hand. Okay, we have Avantika who's raised her hand. Avantika,
yes,
you know the timing guidelines?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, over to you.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Let me take you all to a journey from our solar system to our galaxy, from our galaxy to our nature, from our nature to our country, and from our country to our Monday Blue. Good morning, good evening, everyone. Monday Blue, morning, wake up, and there you are, all with your baggage on the screen, tuck, tuck, tuck. We are all packed and full with all the things to do. The to-do list wide and large. The baggage of responsibility all on our shoulders all day of Monday. And there we go until Friday. We await Saturdays and Sundays, but what we do on Saturday and Sunday? Just spend time and then again crib about Monday. That's what I see in this image. All the baggage of responsibility taken on the shoulders and just not understanding that this moment is to live. This moment is to enjoy, and this moment is to be happy about and celebrate. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Avantika. Thanks for sharing. This is what we call as Gade ko baap banana. So we move on to the next picture. Any volunteers? Volunteers. Digital hands, please. I may not be able to see if you're raising your hands. Okay, we have Kusuma who has raised her hand. Kusuma, you are aware of the timing guidelines?
Yeah.
Over to you, Kusuma.
Thank you, Brilliant. This makes me think about it takes all sorts to make the world. Here you have a picture of a guy falling in love with a lion and also kissing it on the lips. So love comes in different forms, and this is one of the forms of love. Doesn't look scared at all. So maybe the lion is scared of him. He doesn't like this kind of public display affection, PDA. So the lion may not be enjoying it. He's trying to cover behind while this man is going forward and trying to hold the lion. And The lion may be thinking the cage is safer than being outside and is happy to be locked up in the cage because you have all kinds of people in this big bad world, and this man seems to be the worst of the lot. So the lion is very happy in its own secure place, which is the cage. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Kusuma. Thanks for that. Okay. Is the screen visible? Yes. We move on to the next picture, easy one. And I'm sure you have seen this as a meme on the internet. Observe, most important. Prasad, you've already spoken, so second chances we'll consider only if no one else raises their hand. Yeah, please raise your hands or I'll have to call people. सबसे serious वालों को बुलाते हैं. Ah, okay. Ved has given his verdict. He says, Arvind uncle. So, so he's asked Arvind uncle to attempt it. So Arvind. Over to you.
Thank you, Ved, for picking on me. These are threesome. That's what I can see. They looks like great friends. And yes, there comes a time in friendship where you should never turn your back. And the second picture does show that. You can see them looking forward to a great attempt. And I'm sure that there would be somebody from them who would be the winners, and they are looking forward to a great show. They are waiting probably for some of their team members to achieve whatever they have participated in. It's rather difficult because I don't know what memes are all about, and I hardly ever look at social media for memes. So I wish I had a little inkling of what it was so I could speak more on it. But at this moment of time, all I can say is that it's great fun to see the three of them enjoying themselves. And that's what they say, never turn your back on anyone. Over to you, Ved.
Thank you, Arvind. Thanks for that. A threesome gone wrong. Right, what is perception versus what is reality in today's world? Thank you so much for that attempt, and it was Ved who put your name up, so don't blame me for it. The next picture is up, and I think I should invite the one person who got fooled by what happened today. So Ankit, are you there?
Yes, very much here.
So Ankit, this is for you.
This is basically the one reason that my family has always told me, do not trust anyone blindly. You know, first meetings or first images can be so deceptive that you think that, yes, you know, this is the person, this is the situation, and it is beneficial for me. So yes, probably like our brilliant sir, making himself look like Chellam sir, and also so convincingly communicating with me in that accent, I actually got fooled that it is someone who has the same name of Chellam. He has joined us from some part of India, and he is just looking forward to a great session. it also tells me one important thing about Toastmasters, that when Chellam sir bailed out our Shrikant Tiwari from such situations, and that is basically why I feel that Toastmasters mentoring is so important. That you need someone like Chellam sir when you are confused about what you should do, what should be your next step. That is precisely when you need your Chellam sir. And it's an amazing thing that Bombay Toastmasters have not just one, but two, three, many Chellam sirs right here, whether it's DTM Brilliant or DTM Arvind. So, dear Chellam sirs, thank you so much for guiding us in all our problems and situations. Thank you, and over to you, Chellam sir.
Thank you, Ankit. And once again, apologies for making that situational comedy or situational humor, as Ushy had said. I loved talking in that accent, and I was laughing out loud. Ved was on the other side, rolling on his stomach, saying "Ki kya chal raha hai?" But it was fun. And as our founder said, we should learn to have fun so we can enjoy and learn at the same time. So we move on to the next photograph, next picture. People can find the correlation to my background now. So Kalpana, you had raised your hand earlier. Would you want to attempt this?
Yes, I wouldn't mind it. I'll try and have a go at it.
Okay, over to you, Kalpana. You know the timings, right?
Yeah. Okay. Thank.
You're on mute.
Okay. Hi. Good evening, everyone. And thank you, Toastmaster Brilliant, for a lovely photograph. I really recognized Albert Einstein, and I think sticking out his tongue to the world. I think he is flanked by Roosevelt, if I'm right. I'm unable to recognize who is next to him, but science. He gave us a lot of inventions. He has given us a lot to actually thank him for today's comfortable life. But yet he's having the last laugh as he sticks his tongue out to us and tells us, there you go. I'm going to ask you all to cope up with all the challenges, all the problems, and all the innovations that are going to be headache innovations too. Like if we have got electricity, we have got bulb, we have got various other assets at home, but we pay them in bills and we pay the price for the comfort that he has created. There are other innovations apart from what Albert Einstein has actually given us as inventions, good, bad, ugly, all of it, whether it is a mobile, whether it is a Zoom call, whether it is, microwave, whether it is oven, whether it is a gas, but we pay through our nose. The comforts are taken away. And the last laughs are had by the scientists who have invented these inventions. I do want to stick out my tongue at Albert Einstein for giving us bills to pay. Thank you. Over to you, Brilliant.
All I can say, Kalpana, is thank you so much for that attempt. Wonderful. And yes, someone definitely will have the last laugh as we have the last slide on this session today. And Janvi had raised her hand. So before I ask people to raise their hands, Janvi, would you want to attempt it even before you know what the picture is?
I would like to see what the context is.
Okay, fine. Okay, volunteers, raise your hand or Ved will just go hunting for a volunteer. Okay, I see Garima Anandani has raised his hand. Oh, hi. You know the rules?
Oh, hi, I'm Jeet.
Hi, Jeet. Okay, hi. Hi, Jeet. You can speak for 1 minute minimum and a maximum of 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So the picture is there. Over to you. As soon as you see the green card, that is when the minimum time is completed. And if you think you've completed your talk, you can stop. But minimum, you need to wait till the green card flashes on the screen.
Okay.
All set to go?
Yes. Okay. So
Over to you.
this picture has a dog which looks like a Dalmatian. No, not exactly. Looks like a stray dog, and it has sunglasses which look nice on him, and is driving a car. And as I can see, there's water and some land right there in the window. And I think the dog is enjoying himself thoroughly by trying to drive the car towards such a nice scenery. I'm done speaking.
We'll have some more time for 1 minute.
Oh, I see. And the car looks really fancy, so the dog must be rich. And it even looks cute. And it looks like it's really huge, but it's not wearing belt. It might have an accident.
Minimum time is over.
Yeah.
Okay, you're done?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Jeet. Thanks for participating. And as someone rightly said, every dog has his or her day. So this dog has his day. Apna time aega, right? So thank you, everyone. Thanks for participating. The idea and the intent was to make it light without forcing you to think in a particular direction rather than giving you statements which at times become too restrictive. A picture can be interpreted in any way we can, and we can take the conversation in any direction. So thank you, Ankit, and thank you, Pratibha, for having me over as the table tennis master, the table topics master for this session. And thank you, Ushy, for the core session that you drove today. I'm sure people will take back wonderful lessons and will implement it. Let's hope that each one of us are able to implement some elements from it and bring humor to everyday conversations. Thank you, and back to you.
Thank you, Brilliant. That was really interesting session. Now I would like to invite Kusum for a few words. Kusum, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Pratibha. They say life is not about finding yourself, but creating yourself. This is what George Bernard Shaw said. And today we have learned this lesson in today's session. How to present yourself in a more interesting manner. What an evening. What a lovely way to start your long weekend. Thank you, Dr. Ushy, for all the inputs and the insights you have given us in 1 hour, which we couldn't have learned even in several hours. We were well prepared for an amazing session, but this was just mind-blowing. As you could see the confidence with which participants came forward to experiment with humor. I now call upon distinguished Toastmaster Arvind Nair to do the honor of presenting a token of appreciation to Dr. Ushy for this lovely and wonderful session. Distinguished Toastmaster Arvind Nair is a very senior member of the Mumbai region, and we would also call him one of the pillars of the Mumbai region. Almost every newly chartered club and the older clubs owe their progress for the able stewardship with which he has been guiding the clubs. our gratitude and appreciation for your selfless service to Toastmaster clubs. I don't know what we would have done without you. Thank you, Arvind Nair, for doing the honors of presenting the token of appreciation to Dr. Ushy.
Thank you. And I feel good evening, everyone, Toastmasters and guests, and Dr. Ushy. Today is my lucky day because this morning I got picked by a young woman by the name of Pratibha at 11:20 this morning to say, you will be presenting the memento of gratitude. And then at 18:20, a young woman picks me up and says something about South Indians. And then a young lad picks me up for the for a table topic. It's my lucky day, I said. I am being picked on through the day. And then somebody gives me Lawrence, another young woman, singing eons about me and praises. Thank you very much. And since we are already over time, thank you, Dr. Ushy, for your wonderful session that we had today. I'm sure, like Dr. Brilliant said, we will try and take back and implement everything that you have said. And here's a certificate of gratitude for coming and being with us for this session today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Arvind Nair, for that. And I would like to now tell, I would like to, for example, I would like to tell Ushy, Dr. Ushy, what was the takeaway from this session for all of us? The obvious answer, of course, was to make a spicy speech with generous doses of humor. Some of the humor that I thoroughly enjoyed were death by PowerPoint. That was just excellent. In this 1.5 years, we have literally been inundated with PowerPoints, and one more PowerPoint would have really been the killing one. So that was a fantastic, we all of us could relate to that one sentence that she said. And of course, some of them were very good tips that you have given, and you made a list of it, which I'm sure all of us are going to use it in the future. And another one that I really liked was twist the proverbs, damage it, and you see the kind of reaction you will get. Yes, I'm going to start damaging every possible proverb, and I'll get such a kick out of it. You know, damaging things gives you a big kick. You can see vandalism is almost a national sport, and we can easily compete for the Olympics for the same one. We hope the next Olympics takes us for vandalism. And of course, like you said, humans are a great connect, and without humor, what would our life be? And this evening, we had a very, very great session. It was not only learning experience, but we also learned to use it. We appreciated, and we had a thorough laugh from the beginning till the end. Like you said, I can see many of you literally throwing your head back and laughing. And I'm sure you must have seen me doing that many times today. This wonderful session couldn't have happened without the one person who was leading it from the front, that is Toastmaster Pratibha Kamath. She told me specifically not to mention her name, but it would be totally unfair if I just kept quiet about it. She pulled people from all directions, set the right direction for putting up this event. A big thank you to her and to all the 3 clubs, Bombay Toastmasters, Eloquent Elites, and Hindalco, for putting up this informative event, which would be very, very useful for all our members and Toastmasters. The presiding officers and their teams have worked overtime to make this into a memorable session. A special word of appreciation to Ankit, Hemangi, Janavi, Vasudeva, Rajkaran, Avantika, and Anushri for working overtime on this event, trying their best within a week to reach out to as many people as possible. And you can see today, all your efforts have come up so beautifully, it has come out. My vote of thanks would be incomplete if I did not include all the role players, Sergeant at Arms, the moderator who conducted the lively session, Gaurang, who had to suddenly step into it and he did it without much ado. And of course, last but not the least, our table topic master, our brilliant. I can see him cheering himself up. That's it. No modesty over there. I enjoyed the topics thoroughly. It was presented so extraordinarily. A big thank you for me. We started with a bang. We did not end with a whimper. We ended with a bang again, thanks to brilliance. Sometimes the most ordinary things could be made extraordinary simply by doing them with the right people. This has been our experience today, and we owe it all to you, lovely audience, who participated as brilliantly as possible in this event. Laugh when you can, apologize when you should, and let go of what we can't change. Life's too short to be anything but happy. Thank you once again for a lovely weekend and enjoy this long weekend. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kusuma. It was really a vote of thanks from our bottom of our heart. So I would like to acknowledge the presence of our division director, Monish Dukhande. Thank you very much for present here. I would like to invite you for just few glimpses. Yes, Monish?
I'm enjoying it from as an audience. So let me be audience today, Pratibha, and Lamplight be with you for today. With that, whatever part I could attend today, I enjoyed it. Thank you, and over to you.
Thank you, Monish. Thank you. Thank you, Ushy. We really started loving you now. I'm sure your Facebook page, your all social media handles will be full of Mumbai people now. And we are not going to leave you just like that. We are going to give you all these implemented our humor principles, and we are going to send you our live relay. Thank you very much. We really enjoyed. And really, it was a great, even a thing like a humor, you have put so many rules, and that too, like humorously you presented with the examples, with the on the spot, instant, like an instant Maggi noodles. I loved it. Really, thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. And see you for the next session also. Huh? Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you all. Have a great evening. Thank you so much.
Take care. Stay safe, everyone. Bye.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you, Doctor.
Bye. Good night.
Bye.
Bye. Have a great evening. Stay connected. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.